who want to conquer, who want to do something, and taking a criminal way of making this mark because they saw no way of doing it legitimately. That kind of territoriality, that kind of urge to do something is a stereotypical male trait, and it does lead to a lot of criminal and violent behavior. But there's not a whole lot to be done about that in any simple way, maybe in a more profound or a spiritual way, whatever. But on a simple way, it is inarguable that aggression pays off. It's absolutely inarguable. If a guy who is aggressive in his dealings with women will get a lot more women over the course of his life. He'll go further in his job. He will do, all kinds of things. And that exact same behavior, taken just a little bit over the edge, produces violence. We need that. The trouble is, how do we control it? And we need to go on to the next call. Thank you very much. Good evening. You're an hour 25.
Yeah, I actually wanted to question a very early point someone made. I forget who, but someone said that authorities present facts before emotions. And at least in this society, most people in authority and trying to be in authority don't present facts at all.
No, I don't think anybody said that. I said that that one of the few differences between men and women that I had seen is that women present emotions before facts and men present facts before emotions.
I wasn't discussing gender. It was somebody talking about people in authority.
I don't think that specific comment was made, sir. I think that you misinterpreted something.
One of the women said it.
I don't think so.
I was talking about the presidential election and the current currency being placed on the in presentation of facts emotionally first and then followed by factual information.
Okay, but I'm saying there's a dearth of facts, period.
Well, of course there are. I was talking about presentation of those facts, getting the attention of the American public, packaging something so that you will get people to act on it.
Yeah, what she was saying was she was agreeing with you, sir. She was saying that that the politicians are presenting facts, feelings almost in lieu of facts, that they swathe the real numbers, the real facts, the real issues in a bunch of feel-good or rah-rah.
Or we're in danger, which is a very popular...
Yeah, but it's not new. I mean, look at Hitler.
Sure.
Right. No,
absolutely.
Right. I didn't say that it was new. I was just giving an example.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I mentioned Napoleon as an example at the time. Far back before that, you can go all the way to ancient Greece and our early dramas to take a look at that.
Good.
So.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good evening. You're an hour 25.
What?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. I wanted to say that you're talking about aggression.
Mm-hmm.
It's balanced out by ethics.
When it is appropriately utilized, I agree with you 100%. It's one of the reasons why I've spent so much time involved in the martial arts. You must have the capacity of being extraordinarily aggressive, but that aggressive tendency must be balanced and harnessed with an ethical structure. It must be, or it becomes destructive. Ideally, that's what happens, yes. But of course, the jails are filled with, and the emergency wards are filled with the victims of people who did not have their aggression balanced with ethics.
Yeah, or they had criminal ethics, which is
That's
right.
different.
That's right. Ethics,
That's right. Who's ethics?
Yeah,
Everyone has an ethical base. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's the hero in their own story.
Conversation.
Huh?
Thank you.
You bet.
Good night.
Karen, before we go on to the next person, was there something you were going to say?
That's an entirely different conversation.
Oh, okay. Good evening. You're an hour 25.
Hello. Can we get back to the original subject about creating characters?
Yeah.
Creating characters.
I'd like to do a whole program.
And why don't you ask a question, a specific question about creating characters, because we gave a huge amount of information about different points of view on male and female behavior, aggression, reproductive strategies, all sorts of other things which can be used for creating characters.
Yeah, I know. It turned into a sociology discussion rather than a writing course.
Well, that's the way it is.
I mean, the truth of it is...
I have a comment if you
Okay,
like.
go ahead.
Quick. Are you ready?
Yeah.
To create a character, you need observation, you need to be curious, watch, listen, interact, look at their body type, how they communicate.
Yeah.
What is their primary mode of communication? Is it about their job, personality, status, or history? Role play with your character, see how their attitudes adjust depending on the objective, decide what their goal is and how that influences everything that they do. What is their physical presence like? What do they wear? Their temperament, their experience, their outlook, what do they do? How do they mirror themselves against other people? Are they trustful? Are they willing to explore? Put yourself in the character and there you are.
Now, what I would say is...
There you go.
Recognize that your character is 99% just a human being.
Yeah.
That they're 1% either that aggressive edge or that nurturing edge, but that society is going to expect them to be much more that particular way. And so what part of the conflict in a character today would be the difference between what they are and what their society expects them to be. Men to be a little bit more aggressive, hard-edged, logical, women to be, more nurturing, emotional, etc. But our stereotypes push it far beyond what the actual differences are.
Also, don't be afraid to put your character on a tightrope and see how they walk and how they react when they fail. Because in every story, your character will fail several times, learning something, and then hopefully they will succeed or die. And that's what a reader wants to see.
I got that much, and I'm working on something right now. I don't know if I'll ever get finished with it. I sure as hell hope I do. But that is the thing I'm doing about it. He's come with the certain set of opinions like that, and something happens that makes him reconsider what he's always believed in.
If you want to make him real, then you have to look inside yourself to see what has changed you or what has kept you from growing, and add those experiences to your writing. Otherwise, it's just artifice.
Well, that leads to the question I had in mind is it ever a good idea to base a character on yourself?
Partially. Any character you write will always be based upon you. I mean,
How can you help
contain
it not?
legions. All you have to offer the world is your point of view.
Yeah, how can you not base a character on
Say that.
yourself?
Huh?
I heard somebody say, how do you keep from it?
Yeah, absolutely. There is no way to keep from it. No matter what you do in a story, you're going to be projecting yourself out there. You're going to be talking about the way you feel the universe works, the way you feel characters work, and the more you protest that that's not you out there, the more hysterical it gets. All you have to do is take a look at a wide range of a writer's work, and what you will see is the way this person feels the universe works. And if every time they write a book, they're coming from a different position about the way the universe works, it's still talking about it. It's talking about what a flexible emotional state this person's coming from.
You have to look at it more deeply, but any story that you write is going to be a reflection of how your mind works and how you feel about stuff. And also, I think that I would like to reiterate that all of our sociological talk as to whether or not it's scientifically accurate or it's just opinion really is part of the process that you really have to that you have to cope with. I mean, what Karen was talking about really was what a playwright does when he creates the world of the play.
And remember, if our contention is that men and women are mostly the same, there are some differences, some vital differences to look at, but that an awful lot of the differences are created by the societies we live in, then a discussion of sociology is actually more important than, it's one of the most telling things about a character is the way they have been molded by the society that they grew up in. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Did you get he got his character talk. I had one more comment.
Yes, let's hear it.
I have one too.
Okay. One last thing you have to look at is where and how mature is your character.
I already decided that.
A mature individual realizes that they can hold one or two emotions at a time. They can feel very angry and very happy. They can, that's something that's different than how you will feel and think when you were a child. And I find that what is not well portrayed in a lot of science fiction works are the fact that people do have dual feelings.
Okay.
Can I tell you about something I saw on television tonight? It was
we need to go on and take more calls, so we've only got 8 minutes.
Go ahead, then.
Okay, thank you.
Let you go.
Bye-bye. Good evening, or an hour 25.
Oh, good evening. I have a couple of comments tonight. One on the sociological front.
Yes.
The one thing, first I want to say that I liked your illustration about the nice and peaceful civilization falling before the aggressive one. And I think the main lesson that we can get from the L.A. riots, which most people seem to have missed, was the fact that we're going to have to learn to defend ourselves.
I think that a lot of people learned that lesson. There were a number of people who were defending their stores with small arms.
There were a lot of liberals who would hit the gun shops.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got that message, sir.
I hope so.
Yeah.
The second comment on the character front is that that I've gotten from this discussion is that in my writings I use a lot of male and female characters in action adventure stories and so forth, but they're more or less individuals. I don't stereotype them as women or men per se. It depends on the situation. Sometimes they are stereotyped, but for the most part I take them as individuals.
Okay.
And that's
about it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Before you go to the next call, I think PBS is rerunning on Sunday morning the film Impromptu, which is about George Sand's love affair with Chopin. Has a great deal of bearing on what we're talking about, because George Sand basically confounded a lot of sexual stereotypes, yet at the same time she was considered to be one of the most, after she passed away, I mean, she was eulogized as one of the most feminine creatures that had ever lived. When she falls in love with Chopin and he finally consents to, you know, be her lover, they have the they'll show you the romantic scene of them rowing in a boat together, except she's the one that's doing the rowing, and Chopin is the one that's not. And the whole film is filled with role reversals and stuff like that, because that's the way she was in real life.
I have a quick comment, and that is to challenge the gentleman that we just spoke to pull back and think about the myths that we have created in our society, that our society is either safer or more dangerous than it was, say, 100, 200, or 300 years ago. That's also in the Atlantic Monthly article on population.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, it's true. We're definitely much safer than we were 100 years ago.
Safer than we were 1,000 years ago.
Oh, Jesus, by far.
By far, yeah.
Good evening. You're an hour 25.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
I have a comment to make. I disagree that if women controlled the world, there would be world peace, because Margaret Thatcher and other women leaders have been very aggressive.
I disagree too.
I mean, I never said that.
Nobody said that, sir.
I think that some people think that women, because they're nurturers and all that, I agree they're nurturers, but when they get into politics, they can be just like men.
Well, I would say that
amazing,
if by the time
if
you claw your way to the top of a hierarchical heap, you're probably pumping more testosterone than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You go out there and find those women and set them straight.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. You're an hour 25.
Yeah, I found myself in a very sexist situation in my workplace that I was real surprised about. I work with a bunch of women, and they're telling on each other, and their response to when somebody tells on them is to tell on the other person back. And it got to be a terrible mess, you know. Well, when they told on me, my response was to deck them in the parking lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's a woman, you can't do that to a woman, you know. And my response was totally different when they told on me.
What's your address and phone number, and has a policeman been informed of the fact that you decked somebody in a parking lot? I don't care what sex they are. I think you're grotesque. Go away.
I think that you really, at the very least, you just ought to put mothballs in her gas tank or something. But, you know, no physical balance is right out.
Yeah, I mean,
now come on. Would you read and learn something? I mean, men and women. You know, the idea that men and women gossip differently is untrue. Grow up. Don't hit people. Go to crisis therapy. Go take counseling. Have your balls cut off. Get out of my face with it.
Jesus, Karen, wait.
Violent. It's really
you're not
Karen,
violent.
quiet.
I felt it. It really surprised me.
Okay,
It felt
Karen,
good, didn't it?
quiet. You've spoken your piece. Now, sir, did you feel better after you had decked this woman?
No, I didn't do it. I just felt it, you know?
You felt like wanting... You feel like wanting to do it?
My job, please.
Huh?
Get your nose out of my job in a threatening way, rather than to go tell on them back, you know?
Uh-huh.
And, of course, I don't know what will happen. I'm not going to deck anybody in the parking lot. I wouldn't do that to anybody.
So you lied to us to get attention
Karen,
on the radio.
quiet.
My response was a threatening one, rather than a get even one.
Okay. So you wanted to have a direct confrontation.
I guess so. Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing will be whether or not that approach... is going to upset the equilibrium at the job or make your work there a happier place. I mean, I would certainly prefer the direct confrontation over talking behind people's back, but the question will be whether or not the mode of operation there is set up to support telling on one another, whereas you confronting them in the parking lot ends up with you getting cashiered out of your job because you're breaking the unspoken rules. I kind of wonder.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just with the rules of the office politics that you find yourself. If the gender makeup of the workforce was 50-50, depending on what sort of atmosphere that the managers created and they are ultimately responsible, then it very well might be that the behavior would be essentially the same anyway.
That is interesting. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. Bye-bye. Oh, boy. That was brisk.
Now that you've tied Karen to the chair and gagged her.
Yeah, that's right.
And body of evidence here.
That's right. I got your gag right here. Anyway, we have closing comments from our guests.
No, I'm really just burnt out. I'm afraid. I've shot my wad. I'm sorry, you know.
Manlily speaking.
Karen's